viewers, welcome to My TBJ Moment. We have a special guest today joining us via video call from Lagos, Nigeria. Let us welcome Bishop Steven. So good morning, Bishop Steven. You're welcome to My TBJ Moments. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and when today?
Good morning. So we would like to hear about your TBJ moments. How did you encounter the man of God, Prophet T.B. Joshua? Tell us your story.
Well, thank you very much. Number one, Prophet T.B. Joshua happens to be a brother of mine. We came from the same state, in Ondo State, and also from the same village, Arigidi, Akoko. To the glory of God, being a pastor, I have to locate Prophet T.B. Joshua as my brother. And I remember the first time I met with him in 2006. And we had a lot of family meetings. And that was a family engagement. He was so receptive and enthusiastic, being a prophet and seeing his brother as a pastor. And I remember that at that moment in 2006, he took me down to the mountain after a lot of discussion with my wife and my children. We went on the mountain to tour around the mountain and show me the great work that God is using him to do. We were in different camps in the mountain, and he took us in different camps. And after those experiences from the camp, from the mountain, we went back to his office, where I was officially introduced to the family. And from there, we have a dinner together. He spent quality time, even with his tight schedule, very unusual in terms of his position and the level of his humility that he demonstrated unto his brother. And a year after that, that was 2007, I was to become a bishop. And he heard of the news. I sent an invitation to him that my brother, my prophet, I want to be a bishop, and I've been selected by the College of Bishops. Prophet T.B. Joshua was so enthusiastic celebrating this particular news that he promised to be of great support. And I remember November 2007, when my bishophood took place, the entire delegations of the disciples and also the senior leaders of Synagogue Church of All Nations were there, because he couldn't come personally because of his spiritual engagement. He was having some assignment on the mountain that he was not permitted to go out. I think he was having a fasting section, restricted, and he couldn't go anywhere. But all the leadership, with the television crew, with all the mission, then they came with money to support and to show their interest. In fact, they were seated and they were taking pictures, taking the event, both white people from different nations, as his disciples were always known. So the coloration to the bishophood of my celebration was unprecedented, which I will never forget. And by the time they recorded all this, it was translated back to him, and he took his time to watch the event. And after the bishophood, I paid him a visit of thank you, and he was very, very happy. And from there, the relationship started. That moment I paid him a visit, he was having a section of miracle class. It was in that section that I see some cancer patients and people with HIV being healed in his ministrations. And a lot of miracles took place that I saw with my eyes. So for me, Prophet T.B. Joshua is one of his kind.
Indeed. So being from the same state, same area as a man of God, for sure you had a lot of quality time with him. But what is the most impactful moment you had with him?
Well, the most impactful moment that I think I had with the prophet, and I can speak categorically, was a night that, he was there at the synagogue, and I paid him a visit. And he revealed to me that the situation of our nation, the way the country is going, most especially some of the problems we have in our nation today, he was able to see ahead of time. I remember particularly when the president of Ghana, then Mr. Atta Mills, I remember Mr. Atta Mills, former president of Ghana, was with him. I think he came on a spiritual mission to the synagogue church. Unfortunately, I was around with him that time. I was there when he spoke to the president about the election that will take place in Ghana. And the election would be a recurrent election, and what will happen in the elections and what God is going to use the president to do in Ghana. And I remember that when the president finished and he left, he was also revealing about what is going to happen in our nation, Nigeria, about the democratic structures that was coming up in our nation as of then. And vividly, I can remember that he was also telling us about the issue of President Yaradua. And unfortunately, it happens that even the president recognized him with some certain award, but Yaradua was not able to finish his election. I will never forget that prophecy from Prophet T.B. Joshua.
So, Bishop Stephen, I know you had the grace to encounter the different sides of the man of God, but which of his roles you can say you connected with the most?
Well, I think the best I can connect with most is that the assignment of Prophet T.B. Joshua, when there was a storm that took place in our village in Arigidi, Akoko. The rain was very bad and the storm was very decisive. And most of the houses in our village, the roof were uprooted. And I remember vividly that time that the prophet decided to reach out to the village, to Arigidi, Akoko in particular, and install a lot of roofing, batches of trailers of roofing sheets to cover most of the houses that were pulled down, that the rain messed up. And not only that, I remember the incident of electricity too, when we called the stakeholder meetings. Not only Arigidi this time, about 5 or 4 local governments in Akoko North was down without electricity for a long time. And you know what that means. Economic factors was totally down. One of the things that nobody can take away from Prophet T.B. Joshua is the charity ministry. The ministry of giving, the ministry of outreach, the ministry of kindness and care. I remember that he was able to send a lot to our community, and that was a blessing that the community was restored with transformers. And it's not 1 or 2 or 3. And it was located in all the local government. And that was restored of restoration of life, some of the facilities that were in the local government. So I also witnessed that. I was also aware of that. And that's another great impact that I can never forget, apart from the spiritual angle. The charity ministry of Prophet T.B. Joshua, up to today, is uncommon. It's so uncommon that it's difficult to find. You ask question, how is prophet has been able to reach out to men? If you visit him, a lot of his books, he doesn't sell them. He will pack his books, he will pack the gifts, he will pack almost everything that is necessary as a gift and be a blessing to someone. My wife will never also forget the experience when we were together, that prophet gave him, a lot of gifts that I was even amazed. I said, no, Bishop, don't worry. She's my wife. And she blessed my wife and blessed my children. So personally, I've seen Prophet T.B. Joshua in so many dimensions that today, I just believe that the legacy and the spirit lives on.
So I can understand that you have been really impacted by the good heart of man of God, his work of charity, his care. And I want you to share with our viewers, what is the greatest lesson you've learned from him?
Well, the greatest lesson I learned from Prophet T.B, and I think this has really affected my life. I'm someone that always troubled about when someone did not reply. You know, it's natural to man when you have people around you and you have been very good to them, and you get to know one way or the other, they are not responsible, or they are not responsive back the way you expected them to be. So the lesson learned from Prophet T.B. Joshua's experience is that he never replies critics. He doesn't have time for vengeance. He doesn't have time for fighting back. He doesn't have time for, spending time to, he just lead with love. He just relate with love. In fact, this is shaping a lot of many men of God life, particularly myself, because if you know him too well, you won't find him in any corner, at any place, trying to fight anything that happens to him. He doesn't do that. So that is a powerful one that I just believe as a child of God, as a prophet, he has the power, he has the influence, he has the authority, he has so many things he could really do that could make sure, and these people and all these things against him, many of them are false. So if he replies, if he fights back, he will be justified. But he will never defend himself. And that is the only thing that I felt I learned so much from him, that I learned not to spend time in replying anybody or trying to fight anything back. And no wonder that Prophet T.B. Joshua was able to achieve so much. So much. He was able to achieve so much at a very short time because he didn't have time. Because the time he could have spent in fighting his enemies, the time he could have spent in, replying his critics, he spent such time in reading his Bible, studying the Word of God, praying for people, laying of hands, performing signs and wonders and miracles, and he spent those quality time in privacy with God. So because of that, I realized that it's better to be quiet. It's better to be silent. And the Bible said in Exodus chapter 14, verse 14, it said, the Lord will fight your battle and you have your peace. And I believe that was the code of Prophet T.B. Joshua. And the best legacy that I think I can learn from him is ability that his God always fought for him. And he's always having his peace. So naturally, like I said, he's a man of peace. And I learned that from him.
Indeed, it's God who fights our battles, and I believe this is a very great lesson to all of us. And on a lighter note, I want you to share what your memorable, like the most memorable moment you have with Prophet T.B. Joshua, the moment you cherish the most.
Well, I think the most memorable time I have with him is his respect for elders. In our place, we don't have so much of influential people. What I mean is that we have a lot of elderly people, and these elderly people, they don't have much, and they don't really have too much of influence. But one of the things I know that anytime any of our chiefs, any of our high people, those old people, come around, the prophet will lie down with dobale. This is our natural way of greeting. He will bend his head. Sometimes we kneel down. He will be on his knees, and he will greet. That kind of a thing. He will kneel down as if he was not even powerful, as if he was powerless. And that is what he does. Even myself, Prophet Joshua senior me with a year. He was born a year ahead of me in 1963. Mine was 64. But in moment of time, he won't say that, oh, I'm a senior to this young man. There is this moment of honor. I remember the first day when we went to his bedroom, to his sitting room, his private sitting room. And I was cautioned that, okay, because of his position, he said, no, Bishop, please, don't off your shoe. Don't worry. Don't off your shoe. Just have your shoe. Let your wife have his shoe. He was joking and he was laughing. And he went to the fridge. He went to go and bring water himself. And I said, oh, my wife was taking water. I was to take tea. And before you know, he come with hot water and he was trying to, do the tea for me. And he was joking and laughing. I said, what? as much as this, that is Prophet T.B. Joshua that I know. And may God continue to bless his work.
Amen. So thank you very much for sharing your wonderful experiences that you have with the man of God. Thank you for sharing your TBJ moments with us, with all the viewers watching us. So God bless you, Bishop Steven.
And thank you very much for this great opportunity and for Emmanuel Television. My prayer is this legacy will continue to go from glory to glory. Thank you very much and God bless.
You're welcome. God bless you.